Okay, hi. First of all, I would like to say I'm sorry because my English isn't very good, and that's only my second. It's the second time I'm giving a talk in English, so probably it will not be very good, and I'm sorry for that. Okay, my name is Fernando, and I'm here to talk about Red. I forgot the name of my own project, sorry. Okay, so Red is a work in progress raku ORM. It makes very simple to run queries on your database. But before talking about Red, I would like to show you a very simple example of a blog app example. I'll show you two ways of doing that. Using arrays and using ORM. First, let's start with using arrays. If you take a look here, we are writing two classes, one for posts and other one for person. Sorry. And on the post class, we have title, body, author, and the time that was published, and it was deleted, and it was created. And we also have two methods: is published, that returns if it was deleted, if it was not deleted, and if it was published. And publish, that just change it to be change the time it was published for now and remove the deletion. And person only have name, email, and a list of posts. You could write two arrays for that. One typed array for person, so for people, sorry, and another one for posts. And that would be very easy to do blog stuff with that. So if you, for example, would like to get all posts of that blog, you would only say for @posts, and it would return every post on your array. If you would like to do something a little bit more interesting, you could, for example, do a say for @posts with a grepping for all published posts and sorting it by the published date. And it would be more interesting. Something even more interesting. For example, you could sort all the posts and batch it for each lines each and get the fifth? I said my English isn't very good. The fifth page or batch of that, it would represent the page number 6. So the sixth, sorry, TH is terrible. Yeah, so the page number 5 of that. So, and we could also, if we would like to get all years that had a published post, you could just do that. Grep for all published posts and classify it by the year of publishment and create a set of it. And it would return a set of years that has at least one post published. Okay, but my database isn't an array. So what should I do? How could I do that for a database? Easy. You could use an ORM. And ORMs usually are all about SQL. Usually you think on the SQL you would like to run, you write it on ORM syntax using a specific programming language. But wouldn't that be easier if you could just use the built-ins of the language you are using, like that? But I know at least one language that has enough built-ins to to run that. But it would be, the goal should be, you should not even think of your SQL. You could just do that on the language of your choice. So this raku has built-ins that could make it possible to use your database as it was a set of arrays. So let's see how to use red. Red has a very important meta method called all. That sign in front of all means that it is a meta method. It's a method that is run on the meta class of that class. That represents a list of objects of that model. So for example, for our first example of listing all posts on the array, we could just do that. We showed that just that would be enough. But using red, you should just change it for, instead of the array of posts, you could post dot circumflexes. Or, yeah, that sign. Sorry. Sorry? Carrot. Like wrapped carrot. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I said my English is terrible, so it's not my only problem. Okay. So what it would do? It would return exactly the same thing. It would return a list of objects of posts. For every post on the database, it would return as an object. Okay, so, and what about the other examples? Okay, let's see this one. This one is that one that grabs all published posts and sort it by the published date. We could do that just, again, changing the array of posts for posts dot caret all. That would do exactly the same thing, but the way red it was implemented, it would not try to get all the posts on the database and then grep. No, the post all would return a result sack. That's a sequence, a lazy sequence, and the grep would also return another result sack with that filter implemented on it. And the sort would also return a result sack, but with the ordination on that. And what would really run the SQL would be the iteration of that sequence. So it would run this SQL. You can see that the where is filtering the published posts. It's being ordered by publish, and everything on only one access to the database. Other example, the pagination one. With arrays, we would just do something like that. But with red, it's almost the same. We just replace the at post for post dot caret all. And again, the caret all would return a result set. The sort returns another result set. The batch returns a result set. That is another lazy list with each position has a result set. So when we get the position number 5 of it, it would return a result set. And when we iterate it, it runs this SQL. And it runs that SQL and creates objects of each row and returns those objects. One more example. Okay, this is that one that get all published posts, classify it by year, and transform it on a set. To do that on red, it's just like it. You just, again, just replace the array of posts to post.caret_all. And that would return the result sack. Grep would return another result set. In classify would not return the result set. It would return a result associative. That's a hash-like class of object that when you try to get a position of that, it returns a result sack. Then when you try to transform it on a set, the perl6, not the perl6, sorry, the raku would try to get all the keys on that, and this is one SQL, and it will get each one, and that's, sorry, I'm lying. There is a specific method on set called set that would run this SQL. We just select the date of everyone that is deleted, that is not deleted and published, and just create a set from that data. Okay, but to run that, we cannot just use that classes we just did for arrays. We just have to not use classes, but we should use models, red models. So this was the classes we were using before. So is it much difficult to transform a class to a model? That's not that difficult. You just have to first change the class words to models. After that, you don't really need that, but it's a good practice to create IDs for your models. And every attribute, on your model that you would like to store on the database, you should say it is a column. So just doing something like that. And the last thing is every time you would like to change your object and want to store it on the database, you should call the save meta method. And that is all the change you would need to do to use red. Red also has some few meta methods that helps you on doing your stuff with your models. Oh, something important is red do not insert any method on your class or model. Every time you need to interact with the database, you should use a meta method. That's it. So a few meta methods that I'm going to show you are the create table, create, and load. First, create table. Create table can optionally receive the if not exist, or there are alias one for the other, or unless exist, that will just not break if the table just exists. And if you call the post caret create table, it would just create the table like this SQL. The other meta method I'd like to show was the create. It creates, insert a new value on your database. So for example, if you run the first create, just insert a new row on the database. The second one, the new one, would create a new, and when you call save, then it will put on the database. And both would run just something like this. Okay. The load, if you do not say what to load, it will infer the data you are passing is the primary key. If not, you say, for example, the title. Title should be a unique field, so it could search it on your database and return the object. So it would run something like this. Okay. And of course, after you have the object of your data, you could delete it from your database, and it would run something like this. There is some other way to use create, for example. This is creating a new person, and I don't know if you remember, but the person has a relationship with posts. So the object of a person has the method post on it. So it would return a result sack as well. But result sacks has the method create as well. So when you call create on the posts, it will create a post of that person. Yes? Why what, sorry? Yeah, because that's not a method of your model. That's a method of the result sack. So result sacks, all methods on result sacks interact with the database. But none of the methods of the models interact with the database, just the meta method ones. Make sense? Okay, you can also, the first line would run that insert, and the second one would run this insert. You could also, I passed more than I should. Okay, you can also, for example, here I'm creating a new person, Fernando, that is also creating posts. So you can create a row and related rows on the same crate if you want. That would return. Oh, that's all done. Okay, for doing that, to use red, you should connect on a database. This is one way of connecting on a database. This is the new way, but it's still experimental. And this way, you could connect to more than one database, and you just say the name of that database to say where should you run your queries. Oh. Sorry. Just have a few more examples. This is a little more complex queries. For example, that's returning every person that's the name starts with F. This will load the person with that email and get all the posts from that person that the title contains raku, for example. This is the query, and that kind of stuff. So, for example, here we are creating a case on our SQL because if the post is deleted, it should concatenate delete at the beginning of the title, unless it just prints the title. And Red can understand what you want to do and just create the SQL you want. This is a preview of the next API version. This doesn't work yet, but the next API, the join will start working, but it do not yet. That's it. I told you it was not very good, but no time for questions, right? Yes. And you can delete everything, or you can pass filters for delete, or just each hour have a filter, and you can delete all result seconds if you want.
Presumably you can plus like an associative thing for what the updates should be when you're updating.
Yes, you can. You can do that on result text if you want, and you can do that on the object, change on the object, and just call save if you want.
I saw that there were some foreign key relationships. Can Red do the foreign key relationships yet? Or
Not yet, but it will be a thing on the next API version.
okay, and I have a second question. Does it do multiple to multiple?
Multiple what?
Does it
Sorry?
handle multiple many to many? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, until the first version of Red, we would, because today for one-to-one, you would use the $sigil for that. The one-to-many, you would use the @sigil for that. And the first version, we would use many-to-many with a %sigil. But so you could say that relationship on that sub-relationship would return something, but we are not very sure if it is the right way to do that, and we would love to have some advice on that. I know. About transactions, or okay, it do not support transactions yet, but there are a specification of how it should be done, but it's not done yet. Sorry.
Is this a positive question? What about subqueries? Any thoughts on that?
It's working. You can subquery on Red if you want. You have the operator in, and you can also do that with the smart match as well.
So one of the main contributors there, right? And how if we want to contribute, how can we reach out to the community and get a piece of it to develop ourselves?
Good. That's a very important question. Okay, it's on GitHub. Please pull requests. Please open issues. Please do whatever you want. And I'm all the time on the perl6 IRC and on raku as IRC as well. So you can talk with me there, and that's my email as well. Yeah, it's a free software, yeah. Any other question?
Okay. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.